Hey guys, this is Good Music to Know. We have Ketu with us today. He's going to be going over his new album that he just released called Reentry. Super excited to dive into it, get into it. Would you like to introduce yourself? Just a quick introduction.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my name's Ketu. Originally from Nigeria, then moved to Texas in like '01, and then LA about almost 10 years ago. And yeah, I make music based out in Los Angeles, and that's really it, I guess, as far as a quick introduction.
Very nice. So this new album that you released, can you maybe go over what the inspiration was behind the album? So I know listening to it myself, I definitely kind of took away from it that it's about, the ebbs and flows that you have from a relationship. I think you do an amazing job of even from the first track where it's like we have liftoff, like when you're diving into a new relationship to the very end where it's like, and now we're done. But maybe you can give us, yeah, some of the inspiration around the album.
Yeah, definitely. So the project is about a relationship, like a specific one I was in a few years ago, where I had made a decision to fly out to Europe to like meet this girl. And it follows the beginning of that relationship to basically the end. Starts off like, very magical, very fairy tale-esque, and I can't believe this is happening type of situation. And each song is basically a time capsule of
Yeah.
each moment that's happening within the relationship, and it's kind of my way of reflecting on what it was that me and her had.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially the song you have, I think it's called Take It or Leave It. I
Oh
love
yeah,
that song. I think it's like right in the middle of the track, but that's what I took from that track is that's where you really can sense maybe when like insecurities or vulnerability start to creep in a little bit. So when I heard that track, I was like, okay, it's getting real now. Yeah. This
yeah.
is
It
like
starts off super happy, and it kind of hits like a nosedive. What's funny is that Take It or Leave It and also Hold Me. I wrote those songs in 2019 and 2020. So 2019 I wrote Hold Me, and then 2020 I wrote Take It or Leave It. But somehow it just kind of fit into the world that
yeah,
that was happening here.
yeah. Another question I have for you is what did the creative process look like for you while you were writing and recording?
Mm. So a lot of it is kind of moves around a little bit. Some stuff you don't, like I said, like Hold Me and Take It or Leave It. They were started like years ago, and then we brought it in to finish it now. Um, for Fool, the writing process for that started um like right before me and her ever met. But it was we were like talking over social media or whatever, and a friend of mine, I was telling her about like, oh, there's this girl I've been like talking to, and she seems really cool. And this friend of mine was dating someone in Paris, and we're talking about our, what we have both going on with someone. Like this girl I was talking to was in like Amsterdam, and basically she was like, oh, you don't even know this girl, like, she was just like really like letting me like have it, and I was like, man, maybe you're right, maybe I'm just tripping. Maybe I'm spending too many days daydreaming about this kind of love that could be that isn't real.
Yeah.
um and a friend of mine lived down the street from her, and I was like, man, I was like really in my head about it, so I was like, hey bro, can I pull up? So I came to his house, and that's when I wrote the verse and the hook, first verse and the hook to Fool,
Yeah.
just to like walk myself through those feelings and like put it somewhere and not just um hide it. But then like a year later, after we had been together and after we had broken up, literally the same day, I was in the studio working on that song. But I didn't know I
Hey,
didn't the
wow.
same day. It was very crazy. I was looking at my notes because you write stuff in your notes. Like I wrote the
Yeah.
lyrics, and then at the top you can click to see the actual date that it was started.
Yeah.
And I click it, and I'm like, oh, it's literally the same day. which is kind of painful in a way, but it's 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 kind of magical how I was really literally back in the studio finishing a song I started about this specific person,
Yeah.
you know, and then to finish it. So
Well, at least you know their emotions are real. So yeah.
true, true. Oh, also the studio stuff. Um, at a certain point, we had just I wanted to like lock in and like finish a lot of these records. So we had a space and time where we worked out of the studio called Revival at the Complex, and it's the first place I ever started like recording music. But we had booked maybe like 2 weeks or so. It was just like an indie music deal, but we booked some time, and we were just basically every day just finishing songs that we already had, written and like waiting to be done. That's kind of the process.
Was there a song that maybe took, let's say, like a completely different turn from what you had initially planned?
Yes, actually, yeah. So Lady Love was a demo I had wrote for someone else,
Oh, okay.
and it was still about like I was pulling from that experience, but I was writing from for someone else, and the person I wrote it for, they liked it, but they weren't like in love with it.
Yeah.
And I was like in the studio with my producer Biako, and I was just playing demos and ideas that I had because we wanted to make something like new that we hadn't done before
Yeah.
in like a lane of Salt, the band Salt, and Jungle. And that was like the idea, but we just didn't, have anything. So I'm playing him like some demos, and he's like, "Oh, we should keep this one."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Okay, cool. I guess we should keep it." And it was, yeah, the production was like way different, and we just basically, I just, rewrote everything for it. So that's when it started off. Yeah, not as like for this project, but it ended up making sense.
Yeah. So you said Salt and Jungle for were inspirations? Because that was another
Yeah.
question. What are some of your music inspirations? Because listening to you, I definitely also heard a bit of Sampha in there. Uh,
Yeah.
so were there any other music inspirations that you maybe picked up from?
Definitely like D'Angelo, Maxwell. What's funny about like the sampler stuff, it happened like it wasn't necessarily I was trying to be like him. It just so happens that we have like very similar tones.
It's the tone of voice, baritone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm a huge fan of sampler. So it's still like a very like big like compliment. People like they say like I remind them of sampler. Um, like a big one. The like how I got to know my voice was I was listening to this artist named Baby Rose. I don't know if you know her. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So she has this like incredible voice.
Yeah.
And I started making music basically like 5 years ago. And when I started, I was like, well, before I started, I was listening a lot to her music and singing along to a lot of her songs, and that's kind of where I found my pocket. But
Yeah.
I didn't think I could sing for a long time. So
What?
I know, I know. So it took me, listening to her music, singing along, and I'm like, okay, I could live here. And then as I kept singing, I grew as a singer, and I'm like, okay, I already could like kind of sing high. So
Yeah.
now as I grew as an artist, I was able to, or as a vocalist, like my falsetto was like much better, it's like cleaner, and yeah. So like my inspirations would be like those. I mean, it's kind of like all over the place in a way. Like a lot of my like the writing, I'm really inspired by Coldplay, like early Coldplay. I like uh,
Early Coldplay
Parachutes.
was yeah, was good.
I mean, they're just some of the best songwriting I think I've ever, especially when I was like young, like to listen to that kind of stuff. And yeah, like early like indie rock bands were like a big like influence as well. Um, yeah, I think that's really it. That's really it as far as like um as influences. I mean, there's also like really old ones like Donny Hathaway and um Aretha is also like in there somewhere. And basically just anyone that's a great songwriter. That's literally, I'm super loyal to the people who write really good songs.
Yeah, yeah. Any dream collabs?
Ooh, dream collapse. I feel like probably the biggest one is Cleo Soul. That's like
Yeah,
that'd be a dream. That'd be a dream. Yeah, that'd be a dream.
I'm obsessed with her voice. Just oh, she's one of those artists
Sure.
she cannot put out a bad track. Just yeah, amazing. Um,
Agreed.
Another thing I wanted to ask you, is there maybe a particular lyric from the album that's your favorite?
Ooh,
And if
particular lyric.
you can tell the story behind why that's your favorite lyric.
Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Favorite lyric. I'll probably I'll probably have to say no, I'll be there, like the first part of it. Uh, because it starts what will it take for me to show you, for me to know you, I'm all out of games. And like that specific one, when I was writing that song, I was literally here, my piano's here.
Yeah,
I was like here, I was like it was shortly was it like shortly after it was either shortly after the breakup or it was like right before.
yeah,
And I was in a very like maybe it was after. But I was in a very like closed off space. It felt very like I was in a hole, like in a dark
yeah.
room
Tunnel vision.
and tunnel vision and just kind of and it was a way for me to like really share how I was feeling like right there in that moment.
Yeah,
I think I love it for that reason. Like it's probably the best reflection of how I was feeling in at that time. Because like at that point I had reached like the end of myself in a way. It's like, man, this is like what will it take? Like we started so well. Like it was really good. It was like like a movie basically how the relationship was in the beginning. Probably another song that like I also think of as well is Next to Me. Next to Me probably one of my favorite songs. That's probably my favorite song on the project, to be honest. Next to Me.
that was one of my questions as well. So that's good.
Yeah. Because Next to Me is similar. I wrote it with I wrote and produced it with Laban Colley. Uh and that one is like about a specific moment. Like it makes me feel like I'm back there at that specific moment. Me and her were on like a bridge, underneath the bridge on my birthday in Amsterdam, and we were like dancing to like some playlist I had made or whatever. And the sun was like setting. It was like very like OD romantic.
Ideal situation, yeah. Oh,
Yeah, it was just like super most ideal situation. So like I guess like looking like at those two is like man, like we was here, magical moment, and now like I'm here and know I'll be there and just very kind of broken about what this person has like kind of done.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
I think one of the favorite lyrics that I pulled from was from your song "Fool." Like I know this is
Ooh,
like where everything comes to head, but I wrote it down. In "Fool," you said, I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was to long
mm,
for something beautiful. I don't know.
oh yeah.
I just thought that was so beautiful because obviously the relationship had come to an end, but I love the fact that you still said it's kind of like you still kept hope alive to like long for something beautiful. So I don't know. I heard that lyric when I was walking today and I heard that lyric and I was like, oof, that's a good one. I was like, that's good.
Thank you.
I
Thank you so much.
really loved that lyric. I thought it was super nice. Yeah. Another question I had for you is, how do you hope your music will, um, let's say, or how do you hope your music will be received by listeners or your fans?
Whew. Um, I hope it's received in a very personal way because the music is very personal to me. It's not. I've never. I was talking to a friend of mine at the listening party of the project, and I just don't understand people who make music specifically for fame. This is very exhausting. Like I'm writing, like I feel like for me, I can't really write music unless it's very vulnerable and like real and
Yeah,
like I'm very honest. So I hope I hope people who are listening receive it in that way.
yeah,
That this is a very like honest experience that someone has went through, and hopefully they can find bits and pieces of themselves that they've went through in the music.
yeah. Very nice. Um, I have another question for you. If you could give advice to your younger self, what would that advice be? Like, let's say maybe regarding like you getting started with music. What advice would you give your younger self?
Hmm. Hmm. How young are we talking?
Maybe like 15, like teenager, younger self.
15? Oh,
Or
teenager? Oh,
your younger self when you maybe let's say like when you first started doing music, when you knew you wanted to start doing it.
I'll say I'll say like 15. It's funny, like my mom, she makes music as well. She's like a Nigerian gospel kind of artist.
Wow.
And when I was young, she would basically perform at different like churches and like things like that, like all across Texas where I'm from. And I would like follow her, I'd play drums for her and stuff like that. And uh, at one point, I picked up guitar for a class at school, and basically the class was, learn a song, for this class on an instrument. She had like instruments lying around, so like I picked up a guitar. But I was like, let me just learn guitar. I learned how to play Pink Matter by Frank, and I just didn't continue playing at all, which is really bad. Like looking back now, because I didn't think I was going to become a musician.
Yeah.
Um, that's something I would tell myself. Like, I probably like catch myself, keep playing music, keep playing guitar and drums, just do it on the side, and you know, hold on to it or something. Because I feel like I'd be maybe in a better position now. But I mean, I picked the guitar back up now, and um, I picked the piano up. Uh, I first started making music too 5 years ago when I finally started. So that's what I would say. Probably that, and that's probably it.
Are
Probably
you
that.
I'm a massive fan of anything that has piano. Is that you playing on the keys in the songs and the tracks?
No, I write mainly on piano, but I'm just not good enough to like to really play to really
Yeah.
play all that.
There's time.
For like
Always time. There's always
there's
time.
always time. Yeah, there's always time. I gotta get better. I want to get better. That's like a big thing. I wanna like focus on learning in the next like few years is really just getting much better at keys. Um, yeah, my friend Matt Bernard, like he's just incredible pianist. He's crazy. He played on Fool, and the person actually first wrote like the piano. His name is Danny Daniel Christoph. Crazy pianist. Um, Thankfully, I've been like blessed with people who are extremely talented at what they do,
Yeah.
and they're really like the stars of the show. I think like I write the music and like I sing the songs and like I have all the vision and stuff, I guess, but there's like a lot of people who make the music what it is, and they're so like gifted. It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't think I have too much more for you. Is there anything else maybe that you want to, you know, tell the listeners or your fans?
Let's see. I guess maybe just a little more about myself.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's like a lot of the music is from like my base. Like I'm some Christians. Like my faith is like the base of the music I write. So I want to be like an honest person, and this music is like a way for me to journal in a way, and like I'm talking to God about whatever is happening, or this is a point of me showing like I can like God is a creative, he's a creative being, and we're made to be creative with him. This is my way of living in that creativity is writing like you know not holding myself down to one kind of medium or whatever, or one kind of like genre. Just writing music is honestly as honest as I can. That's really it, I think. And that you should listen to Reentry when
Yeah.
you get the chance. It's really good. I think it's really good. It's
Well, I
nice.
think it's really good as well. That's
Thank
why I'm
you.
here. 'Cause it's really good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I was gonna say I can only hope, but I can guarantee you like you're going to take off soon because This album was so good, like so good. And like you said, it was like I was having little micro mini lessons in each song. So yeah, huge fan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.